back into football here to open up hour number one of the program. Is it time for the Arizona Cardinals to get aggressive? And this is a bit of a launching point off of one of my overreactions for Overreaction Tuesday. If you remember, I had the overreaction that the New York Giants should aggressively go out and pursue a wide receiver, and I name-dropped Chris Olave. Well, the New York Giants aren't the only team that could aggressively pursue a wide receiver. You know who else should aggressively pursue a wide receiver? The Arizona Cardinals should aggressively pursue a wide receiver. They should be working the phones right now to get a wide receiver two in this building. Not just because it was a misstep on their part in the offseason to not address this, and they need to bring somebody in, but also I think your offense might be changing here a little bit. I know they're going to try to find balance and run the football, but without James Conner, I do think they're going to have to add in some more passing elements. You can't do it with this current offense. And so if they are considering ditching the 12 personnel, ditching the 13 personnel, showing us more of what we saw in the second half of the game on Thursday, you need a deeper, better wide receiver group. Marvin Harrison Jr., I think what happened on Thursday is the turning point for his season, but what if it's not? You don't have the horses. You don't have the dudes to do that. You don't have the group to transition your offense in the middle of the season. And you are 2-2. You've lost 2 in a row. You're 0-2 in the division. You're barely hanging on to a 500 record. It's getting late early. Don't wait 3 or 4 more weeks. Remember, what did the Cardinals do with the trade deadline last year? We begged them. I screamed into this microphone for days on end. Evan, you were not here for this. Days. I think I broke the microphone a couple of days, begging Monty and this organization to go out and trade for a pass rusher. Go out and get somebody to reward what the defense was doing. This was in the middle of their run where they were beating the Chargers on Monday Night Football. They beat the Bears at home. They blew out the Jets. They were playing good football. Their defense was creating turnovers and keeping them in games, and they started, They started 2-4. They won 4 games in a row to get to 6-4. This was in the middle of that run. And I said, reward this group. Go out and get somebody. I don't want to have to scream like that again for a wide receiver too. Be proactive. The Saints don't have a win yet this season. They're in the running for the number 1 overall pick. Do you think they're really going to be in a position right now to pay a number 1 wide receiver? Do you think they're going to want to dole out the money for Chris Olave when he's a player that comes with an injury risk, that comes with a resume of missing time? Do you think they're going to want to give up dollars and resources for a team that's extremely limited in the resources that they have available? Call them up. Call up another winless team. Call up Tennessee. Veteran Calvin Ridley. Boy, would he look nice as a running mate for Marvin Harrison Jr. Go be aggressive. Save your season. Not to say that the Cardinal season is on the brink, but don't wait another 3 weeks. Get somebody in here now. Get the most amount of time that you can with somebody on this roster to help an offense that needs help. You want the second half to be sustainable? You want the second half of Thursday night, the fourth quarter of Thursday night, to be how you operate offensively? You got to go get somebody. You can't just sit around and just trust the group that you have. The group that you have missed the playoffs last year. The group that you had struggled last year offensively. The group that you have is struggling through 4 games this year. The group that you have isn't good enough. It's not good enough to be one of the best offenses in the league. They need reinforcements. They need help. So go get it. And I'll tell you this, Evan, I don't know how much you've thought about this, but if Monty's not going to be aggressive now, if Monty's not going to be aggressive in year 3, in a year where they're supposed to be good, in a year where they're supposed to be a playoff team, in a year where the expectations are the highest that they've been since Jonathan Gannon got here, if you're not willing to be aggressive in the middle of this season to try to go out and help your team, when are you going to be aggressive? When are you going to look at this? Because I can't say that Monty ignores problems. He watched a defense struggle in the second half of last year, spent every single resource imaginable in the offseason fixing it. So he knows how to identify problems. He knows how to address problems. He doesn't just sit on his hands when the season starts and trust the group that he has. He makes changes. He makes moves. If you're not going to be aggressive now, when are you going to be aggressive?
It feels as if it's now or never, just in his philosophy, right? Of if he doesn't do it in year 3, when we think this is probably the most talent they've had in at least the last 3 years, maybe the most they've had in 6 years.
The most talented group since JG and Monty got here.
And so if you're not willing to add to this, at what point are you willing to add? And I asked that question because wide receiver 2 was a glaring issue in the offseason. I mean, like, we weren't the only people calling for it. You met a fan on the street and you asked them what the Cardinals need. Guess what they would have said? I would like a second wide receiver. And everybody knew they needed it. And when you look at Thursday's game, it was glaring in the first half how bad they needed a second receiver. And guess what? They didn't get it. I seriously believe we would have done a show had they not played in the second half like they did last week. That loss was on Monty Ossenfort.
I said it as much on Friday. I said that if the first half continued, the narrative coming out of that game was this loss isn't on the players, this loss isn't on the coaches, this loss is on Monty. This loss is on Monty for not changing anything about an offense that wasn't winning awards last season, an offense that wasn't the talk of the football world. There wasn't a stat that you looked at last season and saw a group that was worthy of just running it back. You know who can run it back on offense? The Philadelphia Eagles can run it back on offense. The Kansas City Chiefs.
The Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills can run it back on offense. And even, guess what? Even those teams change.
By the way, all of those teams tried to add something or change something offensively. All of them.
The Kansas City Chiefs have been drafting skill players in the first round for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills drafting playmakers in the first round.
The Eagles went out and traded for John Mechie.
Constantly looking for ways to improve the group.
The Bills brought in Joshua Palmer, right? Like, all of those teams made improvements. I mean, I'm not saying they're the biggest moves. Like, I'm not saying Palmer or Mechie are anybody that moves the needle, but at least it adds something. And they saw an offense that, I'm sorry, I know the defense was a massive problem last year and probably was the reason they didn't make the playoffs, but the offense didn't win you games.
The offense,
when they had the opportunity to win you football games, they didn't do it.
The offense wasn't good enough last year. It wasn't. Everybody saw it. Every complaint that we've had this year about this offense, we had last year about this group. And I don't know. I think there's a couple of answers here. It's either stubbornness of not wanting to fix the problem. It's either arrogance on the front office and the coaching to think that this group is good enough. Or is it, is there a third option? Arrogance, stubbornness. What other reason could there be for not making a change? Because I don't think Monty is inept. I don't think he's bad at his job.
Certainly not.
So it's either stubbornness or arrogance. Or it's just passiveness. It's just not being interested in making the big move. And if you are not going to make the big move right now, when are you going to make that big move?
And I think that there was a belief that they have a defensive-minded coach and they wanted to make upgrades at that spot, and they did. But you did that through the draft. Well, and you added Josh Sweat, and you added Dalvin Tomlinson, and you did these things. There was room to add a receiver.
Boy, I'd really like to have Matthew Golden right about now.
And
boy, I'd really like to have any of the other skill position players that were taken.
And I'm not saying it's Monty's fault that Walter Nolan got hurt.
No, but
you need a receiver.
And I don't want to play the hindsight police because in the moment and the day after the draft, and I still believe this, that was a good pick. Walter Nolan being on the board available.
It was a good pick. Listen, we went it. We came into this show. We reacted to it. We liked it. We loved what they did in the second round, obviously. So I'm not getting on Monty for that. But boy, when you watch this offense, it's hard not to think, man, what would they be without another receiver?
Do you know who was taken? Do you know who was taken 3 picks after the Cardinals took Walter Nolan with the 16th overall pick? Do you happen to know, everybody? The 17th overall pick was Shamar Stewart for the Cincinnati Bengals. The 18th overall pick was the Seattle Seahawks. They took Gray Zabel. I'm just going to tell you the team that picked 19th, and you're going to want to punch your radio. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers picked 19th in the first round. You know who they took. You know the player that's filling in right now for an injured Mike Evans. You know the player who was filling in for Chris Godwin before he came back.
They drafted a better Chris Godwin at 19.
Emeka Egbuka was the pick at 18. Matthew Golden was taken 23rd. Those were players taken after the Cardinals selected Walter Nolan, which was a good pick, but it was a luxury pick in some regards when they had a pressing need at wide receiver. So you know what? Now, because you didn't address it in the offseason, because you didn't invest with draft capital, because you didn't invest with dollars, you might have to pay the piper. You might have to overpay for a receiver now if you want to get aggressive. Or you run the risk of making zero change to your offense. And you know what? If the offense doesn't turn it around, it's on Monty, man. It's on Monty. It's on Monty if this offense doesn't turn it around. Because you had chances. You had a free agency cycle. You had a draft. You had a summertime. How long did it take for Keenan Allen to re-sign in LA with the Chargers? How long was he sitting out there? You cannot continue to run this group out there if this doesn't get better. So this is my call to action for the Cardinals. Go get aggressive. Go call New Orleans about Chris Olave. Go call Tennessee about Calvin Ridley. Who are some other teams that you can call up right now? Who are teams that we know are out of it? The Jets aren't trading Garrett Wilson. They just signed him to an extension. Who else is really, really bad that's not going to turn it around anytime soon, that has a receiver? I mean, let's look. I mean, those are the two names that immediately come to mind. Can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. I mean, before the injury last night, and we're going to get to this in the lunch break, in the news dump, Tyreek Hill's name probably would have been out there if the Dolphins continue to lose.
Certainly. I mean, obviously we talked about Olave. The Panthers,
Panthers just drafted T-Mac. They're not moving him. Who do they have?
Leggett.
That's a project. That's not somebody that can
certainly a project.
Slide right in.
Are the Giants willing to move any receivers? Probably not with a young quarterback, right?
Which receiver do you want?
Slayton.
You want Jalen Hyatt, who can't get on the field? You want Darius Robinson?
Houston. I mean, they've like 9 receivers on the roster.
I don't think they would. I mean, the guy that you would want would be
is Nico.
And I don't think
they're not moving Nico. Nico is special.
So you're not getting him. I mean,
Are you ready for what I'm going to do?
Oh, no. Go ahead.
Call the Jags about BTJ. Just ask the question.
No, okay, I hear you, and and that's some good outside the box thinking. They're too good right now to entertain something like that.
Just ask it. Just ask the question.
I mean, listen. The opinion of this program is you always pick up the phone. You always answer the phone. You always make the phone call. You always get told no. You don't assume it's a no. You get told no. So I'm with you. But they're 3-1 in spite of him struggling. I think if they explored moving him, it would be in the offseason just to give him a change of scenery. But I like the outside-the-box thinking. I'm just looking at teams that...
I mean, there's not many teams. The Raiders, Jacoby Myers. He's better than what you have.
I know, but is he really the wide receiver, too, that this team needs? I mean, yes, he
is he the wide receiver, too, they could get is arguably the better question.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Who else is going to trade with them? In all honesty.
No, those are your options. That's why, you should have been involved when George Pickens was available. You should have been involved in the draft. You should have been involved in free agency because now your options are. And guess what? If New Orleans asks for a pretty penny, okay, you're going to have to pay it.
Yeah.
You can't just look at your fans and say, well, we tried to get a wide receiver too, and we're just going to continue to let the offense be bad because we wouldn't give up a second-round pick for Chris Olave. That's not good enough. That's not going to fly. It's not going to fly when you had an entire offseason to fix this problem. So it's time to get aggressive. Do not let this season slip away. You win on Sunday against Tennessee, you're 3-2. A harder part of your schedule, a harder chunk of your schedule coming up. Don't let this linger all the way up until the trade deadline. Please go get somebody. Go get a wide receiver too, because you are probably going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. And the current group's just not getting it done.